day, everyone! We are from Group 6 Alcala and I am Pauline Lopez introducing Contemporary Arts and its Types. Sit back and relax as I take you to a Netflix-like presentation while discussing the important topics. Next slide, please. Introducing the table of contents. We will be starting off by defining what is contemporary art, headed on by defining minimalism as well as providing samples of minimalist artworks. The third and fourth one is defining found objects and large-scale art, as well as giving them samples along with the names of the artists. As we go on to the next slides, every artwork and its history will be discussed along with a short description of each. Next slide, please. First one is contemporary art. Next slide, please. To define, contemporary art is the art of today. It's called the art of today since it was produced in the second half of 20th century to the 21st century. Furthermore, it reflects the complex issues that shape our diverse, global, and rapidly changing world. In fact, an artwork that represents a common issue will be discussed later on, which is an artwork that has a lobster and a telephone. Moving on, to answer the question, how did contemporary art start in the Philippines? To answer that question, this was in the 1950s when the tenets of modernism began to take hold in Philippine art. The early modernists were exposed now to German and American art movements, while they introduced new concepts of form and presentation, were in essence continuing the trajectory established by their Spanish-educated predecessors. To add, another question to be answered by me, is contemporary art limited to paintings and sculptures only? The truth is, it is not. It can be through in the form of painting, sculpture, photography, installation, performance, and video art. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. I will now pass the time to the next reporter, Mr. Carl Francis Orbe, who will discuss minimalism. Thank you.
Thank you for that. As a substitute to Mr. Orbe, let's now head on to the second chapter of this report, which is minimalism. Next slide, please. First, let's define minimalism. Minimalism is marked by clarity, purpose, and intentionality. Minimalism means to remove everything excessively of the main art and keep only what has more value. Minimalism is an art associated with abstraction. It may lack the attention-seeking aspect, but it does bear a deeper value than how it is seen in the naked eye. Next slide, please. An artist known for his minimalist artworks is Arturo Luz, who is a Filipino modern artist, best known for his minimalist, geometric, and abstract style of art as well as his animated paintings. Because of his works, he is known as the pioneer of Filipino modernism. Thank you for that. Let's now head on to the next topic, which is the example of minimalist artworks.
Thank you, Mr. Orbe. This minimalism art from Dan Blevins is made of many colors of fluorescent. It includes white, pink, green, blue, and red colors. Next, we have this black and white portrait from Frank Stella. What appear to be white lines are actually very narrow spaces of unprimed canvas between the standardized black bands applied with the house painter brush by the artist. And the last one, the Mirror Cube by Robert Morris from 1965. Minimalist sculpture from mid-1960 are composed of geometric forms that have an pared down. He usually arrange them into a situation in which one is aware of one's own body at the same time as one aware of the piece. This works implies the principle. The mirrored surface of the cube produces complex and shifting interaction between gallery, spectator, as a viewer walks around them. Let's now go and find object. Ms. Ramirez, please speak now.
Thank you, Miss Imperial. Now, let's proceed to another technique that is used in making contemporary art, which is using found objects. Using found objects is one of the techniques that are among the most relevant in contemporary art. A common use of discovered objects in modern art is to collect and categorize them in order to understand the cultures that made these materials. Contemporary artists examine the objects, such as trash and junk, that they have found as objects dislocated from the past that can be reinvented. Here are some examples of various artists utilizing found objects in their art. The first artwork, The Animal Head, is done by Henry Moore. Henry Moore is known for his sculptures, which are located around the world as public works of art. The artist collected bones and flints to produce this artwork. The sculpture has the appearance of a pebble that looks like a hybrid animal. Second, the most famous use of found objects in a work of art has been done by Marcel Duchamp. The artist is commonly regarded along with Pablo Picasso and Henri Matisse as one of the three artists who helped to define the revolutionary developments in the plastic arts in the opening decades of the 20th century. His artwork, Fountain, is one of the most discussed works of art of the 20th century. People often highlight the influence of Fountain on conceptual art. In 2004, it was voted as the most important 20th century work by hundreds of art experts. The last artwork featured is The Lobster Telephone by Salvador Dali. Salvador Dali is known for being an excellent surrealist painter and printmaker. Lobster Telephone is one of the best-known artworks of the 20th century. It is an object created using steel, plaster, rubber, resin, and paper. The phone is made using plaster and rubber. Resin and paper are used as the overall medium. To summarize, the telephone is a real one while the lobster is made of plaster. I will now pass the time to Ms. Hernandez, who will be discussing large-scale art.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. The Birth of Venus, which was created between 1482 and 1485, is an example of large-scale art. It is one of the most well-known works by Italian Renaissance artist Sandro Botticelli. Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty, emerges from the sea in her trademark scallop shell in this massive mythical painting. The Night Watch by Rembrandt Harmenzoon van Rijn is another example of large-scale painting. Rembrandt's output includes a comprehensive collection of notable paintings, prints, and sketches, but his most important piece of art is the militia company of district under the command of Captain Franz Banach Koch, better known as the Night Watch. This painting, which measures 11 feet 11 inches by 14 feet 4 inches and depicts a militia, exemplifies Rembrandt's theatrical manipulation of light as well as his well-known penchant for large-scale portraiture.
So here are the references for the Module 3. Next slide, please. So this brings us to the end of Module 3, Materials Used in Contemporary Art. Again, we are Group 6 Alcala and we hope you learned something. Thank you and have a nice day, everyone.